Hi, everyone. My name's Janeen, and I'm just really thankful to spend some time with you and be together in the Word as a church family. Um, when James asked me to share on Wednesday, April 15th, to be honest, my heart sank a little bit, and I wanted to say no, mainly because this is easily the least favorite day of the year for me. You see, 7 years ago was the Boston Marathon bombing today on April 15th. And if you've talked to me for more than 5 minutes, you know how much I love the city of Boston and New England in general. That's where I'm from. Um, that was just a really hard day as a Bostonian. Um, but even harder was 8 years ago on April 15th, my younger cousin tried to end her life on this day and has been in a coma for the last 8 years. And so to have those big events all on the same day, a year apart, just makes this day kind of a sad day, a day of remembrance, times of being challenged, of feeling like God's forgotten things, whether about me or the city I love, the people I love. As sad as I am, I know it's harder on my aunt and my uncle and my younger cousins. But it's still a real day of sadness, still a real day of pain and remembering what was lost. Um, and if I'm honest, I've been really struggling being in the Word lately. It's been really hard. When this pandemic was officially announced on March 11th, I was on the way to the airport to go to Chicago for an event that I was directing for our African American ministry within my organization. I had spent over a year planning it. I put so much love and attention and, yeah, just so much of my heart into this event. And then it to be canceled was just devastating. I just cried so much for that next week because I couldn't fathom why God wouldn't allow this event to happen. Like, why would He work in so many different beautiful ways to bring a holistic discipleship conference to impact the Black community for it not to happen? Like, I just so struggled, and it just was so painful. Um, and as an event planner, I love what I do. I love planning events. I love what it does for people. I love being in ministry context to do that in. And so to lose that was so hard. And so I think I've really have been very distant with God. I've been in the Word somewhat. So, and maybe that's like it for you too. Maybe, yeah, you've had moments in the Word, but you're really struggling. You're really, that hope that we keep trying to throw out there as a Christian community, as the big C, everyone in the world, this hope. It may not always feel hopeful, I think, sometimes. And I know I have felt very distant in a time when I have all this extra time to be with the Lord. I'm not taking advantage of it. I'm not leaning in because I'm feeling forgotten. And so, as I was thinking about what to share, what really stuck out to me and kind of reminded me was Psalm 13. And in the NLT, it says, "O Lord, how long will you forget me? Forever? How long will you look the other way? How long must I struggle with anguish in my soul, with sorrow in my heart every day? How long will my enemy have the upper hand? Turn and answer me, O Lord my God. Restore the sparkle to my eyes, or I will die. Don't let my enemies gloat, saying, 'We have defeated him.' Don't let them rejoice at my downfall." And as I think about forgetfulness, that's a lie that I believe. I've believed that lie for years and years, and there's been some healing in it, but I just don't believe I'm worth people's time, and I don't believe I'm worth God's time. So to have this pandemic, to have all these things I'm not allowed to do, to have an event that I just cared so deeply be destroyed, or not destroyed, but be canceled. It felt like it was destroyed. To feel forgotten in my singleness. I'm 37 and I want to be a wife and a mom, and these dating apps are not working. Or to feel like my family was forgotten, or all these different things, or feeling forgotten in work. This word "forget" it just really has been in my brain these last few weeks. And so I think, yeah, I've taken a step away because I'm like, God, it doesn't feel safe, which is so not true. God is, He is our home. He's our safest thing. And yet in my flesh, I've just taken a real step back. I keep going like, how long, God? You know? And as I was talking to some friends last week, where a bunch of us were catching up, and my friend's husband, he's Black, he's a Reformed pastor in North Carolina, and he just really challenged us, which I'm so thankful that he did. And he was just reminding us, like, as oppressed as I feel, as this forgottenness, as this loss that I feel, um, our oppressed people groups in our country and in our world, this hasn't emotionally or physically felt different for them. Their lack of resources are still lack of resources before and during this pandemic. The things of the systems that have been broken for them are still broken now during this pandemic. And so it was just a reminder of my pity party, but also not that I don't ignore the forgottenness that I feel, to not push in. I think that's a challenge that I think I need to continue to push into, like, of knowing, like, God hasn't forgotten me. Like, when I take that moment and I step back and I think about Janet Lencioni from our church praying for me one day because I came to mind, the Spirit really brought my name to her mind. Like, I wasn't forgotten in that moment. But I also know but just to live in the tension too, that, yeah, I have such privilege, as much as Zoom is annoying, as much as, I want to go to the gym or want to go hang out with my friends in person. Like, there's such a great privilege that we all have in the midst of this. It doesn't mean that our fears and our concerns aren't there, and the feelings that we have, but man, I hope I don't miss out during this time of the privilege that I do have, where other people groups, I think of my Navajo friend who is living in Arizona, and the Navajo Nation is really struggling right now. And I go, man, Lord, again, do they get a break? Do our Navajo and our Native Nation friends get a break? Do our Black friends our Black community is dying in alarming numbers right now because of the lack of resources. Do they get a break, Lord? And so all these things that are just, I'm a feeler, so I emotionally go all over the place anyways with my feelings and emotions as I process things. And so how do I hold the weight of the things that I'm feeling are real? But wow, can I not forget the gratefulness that I have of the life I still get to live in the midst of a pandemic? And how do I not also forget those who are being oppressed? How do I come out of this differently because I'm getting a tiny snippet of the oppression and the things that I'm limited to do that they experience every day? And so what I love, what David just writes, and is he ends this with, and I'm going to read it in the ESV, but I have trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. And I just love in verse 5, I have trusted. He's remembering that of God's faithfulness, of the times in the past, that as David's experiencing a serious illness right now, as he's writing this, he's feeling this forgetfulness, but he's also living in the tension of going, but God, you have been faithful. You have showed up, and I know that you are real and you are there and you are for me. And so I just challenge myself, and I challenge us to kind of still to have those times of remembrance in the midst of not feeling that hope, that excitement, the joy. Yeah, it's just the encouragement that I think we all want to eventually get to. I'll end quickly with something I was reading in the book Shattered Dreams by Larry Crabb. He's a Christian therapist here in the Denver area. And he's talking about some lessons for us to learn within brokenness. And I thought these 3 points were really key during this time, during this pandemic. And first key point was, the journey to God will always at some point take us through darkness where life makes no sense. Life isn't easy, it's hard, sometimes very hard. Number 2, The felt absence of God is a gift to gratefully receive. The felt absence of God is a gift to gratefully receive. During those seasons of darkness, he is doing his deepest work in us. And number 3, feeling good is not the goal. When we feel bad, we have the opportunity to do battle against the enemy within that keeps us from entering the presence of God with no greater passion than to glorify him. We are in a battle right now, and what a great opportunity that we have to continue the battle against the enemy, for us to be in the presence of God. That's what I'm needing right now, is to really lean in and be in God's presence, to be at home intimately with him. And that might be for you as well. And so I hope that this was, for some of you, might be really relatable. And for some of you are like, oh, I got this, I'm good. But yeah, that's just kind of where I am at. And yeah, may you be encouraged and challenged in the midst of this. Thanks.